Okay. Now my screen is visible, right?
Yes, Anna.
Okay. In the previous class, we discussed about child component, parent component. Okay, have you completed these topics? ఏ రోజుది ఆ రోజు ప్రాక్టీస్ చేయండి, లేదంటే మీకు ఏది అండర్స్టాండ్ అవ్వదు, కాన్సెప్ట్స్ మర్చిపోతారు.
Anna.
Generate. In the generate component, okay. సో మనకు నెక్స్ట్ కాన్సెప్ట్ వచ్చి లైఫ్ సైకిల్ హుక్స్. అంటే ఒక యాంగులర్ అప్లికేషన్ను లోడ్ అయినప్పుడు ఫస్ట్ ఏది ఇనిషియలైజ్ అవుతుంది, నెక్స్ట్ ఏదన్నా ఒక సర్వీస్ కాల్ కావాలన్నా, ఒక కంటెంట్ బ్రౌజర్లో డిస్ప్లే అవ్వాలన్నా, సో ఏ హుక్ ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతుంది. ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ టు unsubscribe, like to when we are deleting something, which hook it gets execute, everything it will defines by using life cycle hooks in Angular. So అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఒక హ్యూమన్ బీయింగ్ పుట్టినప్పటి నుంచి చనిపోయేదాకా తన లైఫ్ సైకిల్ ఎండ్ టు ఎండ్, ఓకే, స్కూల్, కాలేజ్, డిగ్రీ, జాబ్, రిటైర్మెంట్ ఎలానో, సో మనకు యాంగులర్లో కూడా లైఫ్ సైకిల్ హుక్ ఉంది. అంటే హౌ ఇట్ విల్ క్రియేట్స్ ద అప్లికేషన్ ఇనిషియలైజేషన్ అండ్ హౌ టు యూటిలైజ్ దట్ hooks, that is the life cycle hooks. So we are having a, see, these are the life cycle hooks available in Angular. See, first ng on changes, ng on init, ng do check, and then ng after content initialization, ng after content check, weave initialization, weave check, and ng on destroy, last life cycle hook. These are the some of the life cycle hooks available in Angular. These things. And before life cycle hooks, constructor gets executes. Okay. So first constructor it will gets executes, and then ng on changes will initialize, and then on init do check, after content initialization ng after content check, ng after weave init, weave check, and ng on destroy, last life cycle hook in Angular. Okay. So here we are having a first constructor, means first I will create one component, ng generate component life cycle. So this is the life cycle component. Okay, it is created, and we are having a so here we are having a life cycle hook component. We are having, see, .html, ts file we are having. So here I will create one by one life cycle hooks. So we are having a first constructor, it will get execute, so default it will be there, and we are having a other life cycle hooks, like we are having ng, sorry, on changes life cycle hook. It's like, so here ఇక్కడ మీరు ఆన్ చేంజెస్ అనే ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేసుకోవాలి, అంటే లోడ్ చేసుకోవాలి, ఇక్కడ ఇనిషియలైజ్ చేయాలి. సో వీ నీడ్ టు ఇంపోర్ట్ ఆన్ చేంజెస్, నాట్ ng ఆన్ చేంజెస్. ng అంటే ఇన్సైడ్ ద క్లాస్ మెథడ్ we should use ng on changes. See ఇక్కడ how it is ng on init, here ng on init, see, సింపుల్ ఆన్ ఇనిట్, ఇక్కడ ఆన్ చేంజెస్ ఉంది. సో we should use ng on changes. ng on changes of next life cycle hook, ng on init, and we will use ng do check. So here we should provide on changes we are having and do check. We need to import it and it will create ng do check life cycle hook, and after that we should use ng. First we need to import after content initialization. After, see, we are having a after content initialization it, and here ng after content initialization. See, here it is providing automatically. See, already we have declared the ng after content initialization. After it is presenting here, it is not displaying that one after content initialization. Okay. See, view init, view check and content check we are having. This is the ng after content check. And after that, we are using after view init. After view init, and after that we are having a after view check. Ng after view check. So last lifecycle hook we are using on destroy. Just add ng before lifecycle hook. These are the different lifecycle hooks available in Angular. Okay, so first one is ng on changes, ng on init, ng do check, ng after content initialization, ng after content check, ng after view init, view check, and ng on destroy. So the main lifecycle hooks are these things. So along with the lifecycle hooks, so we need to consider about constructor as well, because when Angular application is compiled, so all these things are important. It's like to initialize the class properties, we require constructor. Whenever the input property values are changes, ng on changes gets executes. Here ng on init to initialize the all the component is initialized properly. So after that on init gets executed, and then do check for every change detection. Whenever the value changes, for every value changes, do check gets executed. Here ng after content init means whatever the content we are having. So from child component to the other component, when we are inserting other content into, content to the other component. So that time this hook gets executed, and then when DOM is check this content properly, after content check gets executed, and ng after weave in it means one child component. Suppose we are having a life cycle hooks here, we are having a directives example, but in the directive example component, if we want to access inside the parent component, like in the life cycle component, if you want to access any data transfer component property or methods into the lifecycle hook component, so those time we are using the view child, and to access the child component reference into the parent component, అంటే వేరే కాంపోనెంట్ యొక్క రెఫరెన్స్ ని పేరెంట్ కాంపోనెంట్ లో మనము యాక్సెస్ చేయడానికి we are using ng after weave initialization life cycle hook we are using, and then after that weave is checked from the DOM properly, then ng after weave checked life cycle hook gets executes. The last one is ng on destroy, means before Angular destroys something, so on destroy will invoke on any service to unsubscribe it or to prevent the memory leaks. We are using ng on destroy. Okay. Now we will check one by one. So which one will get executes and how the execution will appear. See, we are having a constructor. In the constructor, we are having a value. Initially, it is a empty string we are having. So this dot value. See here, why we are using a constructor is to initialize the all the class properties. We are using constructor, like it is one of the dependency injection, like we can create any service or class instantiation, we can create it. So after that we can able to access all the methods in the respective component, that is called constructor dependency injection. These are the lifecycle hooks. Okay. See, we are having a constructor and these values are we are having, and here I will provide. So value I will declare one variable. Usually it will be in a string to empty we are having. So initially it is empty, and inside the constructor you can use so this dot values equal to method I will provide. Yeah. So I will use a console here, and I will provide this dot values. App life cycle. So first what we need to do is in the component, so I will hide this one. See. See. First, which one it is executed? Constructor method called. Okay. So now I will declare other methods also. So ng on changes we are having. So I will use log of see. I will remove and I will first constructor method gets executes and then ng on init because first it should get executes ng on changes should get executes because here whenever the input bound properties are changes in the from the parent component when we are passing one value to the input decorator only that point of time on changes gets executed. It is having a simple changes object and the previous value and the current value it will access it and it will return that one ng on changes. Okay. After that ng on init. Once Angular component initialization is completed, then on init hook gets executed and then do check whether that change detection it is happening or not. It will check it here and then content check, content initialization is checking and content check, view initialization and view check it is providing. So once everything is displayed, so immediately again ng do check it is happening. See, for every change detection, whatever it may be, ఏదైనా చేంజ్ కానివ్వండి immediately do check అనేది ఎగ్జిక్యూట్ అవుతుంది. నెక్స్ట్ కంటెంట్ చెక్ అంటే DOM కి కంటెంట్ చెక్ అయిందా లేదా and view check and view whatever the view here it is displaying that is checking or not. So these things will be executed. So constructor on init do check after content initialization content check view init view check. So again whatever the value we are provided if something is changing so immediately do check gets execute and content checked will executes, and after view check gets executes. This is the normal basic hook one. So now we can use how actually ng on changes it will get executes. Okay. So we are having one div. So we are having one ng model. See, app first for that particular one we are passing one value app input, like simple input we are passing out for ng on changes to at the rate input decorator, and inside that child component we are using ng on changes. It is getting the simple changes object. We can provide that one. See, we are having inside the examples we are having cd space. Okay, I will create one more component, app first. So we are having a app first component. So here in this component we should use on changes. See, so this for a child component, when we are passing some value from the parent component to the child component as an input decorator, only that point of time it will get executes. See, the same thing we are getting. You can check it here. We are not getting any ng on changes. Hook execution is not happening. Okay, so that here in this component we can create view ng on changes. Okay, so here we need to create one input decorator at the rate input of so I will create one simple input. So initially it is empty, simple input variable I have created, and have assigned a empty value simple input, and I will provide here. I will bind and we should use this simple input in the here as a property binding, like from parent to child component when we are passing some data. See, now we are getting ng on changes in the app first component.tsy. We have declared this one. Ng on changes gets executes. When first constructor method on init do check, after content initialization it will check, after content check entire thing means first it will check the parent component one. Okay, the first level of all the content it is initialized or not, everything it will check one by one. See, constructor on init initialization component initialization it will check, and then do check it will check, and content initialization whether the content is initialized properly or not it will check, and content check it will get executes, and after that then on changes gets executes. On changes means whenever the new input value is passed to the input decorator, that point of time ng on changes hook gets executes. See, until we are passing one input value here, that simple changes object like on changes hook does not execute. Whenever the new input value is passed to the input decorator, only that point of time on changes hook gets executes. And it is containing a simple changes object on changes hook. Like it will be containing one previous value and current value. Here we can use change. See, ng on changes it is executing. What we are getting? Simple one object we are getting. Previous value undefined we are having current value. Text first change is true. See, one we are getting one simple changes object like current value and previous value it will be containing. Previous value is empty here, current value is text we are having. And now we can utilize one changes object we are having, and see by using a in, see this is the object what we are having. See, here we are having a object. To iterate this object, we can use for in property in properties. To iterate the objects, we can use a in for in. We can utilize it and we can iterate it, and we can get the current value and the previous value. We can get it. For loop, let property in changes object. Each property name, whatever the property name we are having, that particular property name we need to assign it, like array of that property inside the object, that particular respective property name we need to pass it out. This change object it will be containing that each property name, and we should use current and previous value by using. So it is in object. So to convert into an JSON, so we should use JSON dot stringify of. So we are having a change dot current value. What is the change dot current value? Is this value property name. And then we can utilize this current we are having. For a current value, we can provide change dot current value we can provide, and for a previous, same we can get the change dot previous value. We are having a for loop. Value in changes subject. Okay. So this is the syntax for to iterate the object. It means here whatever the value we are having. So sometimes we need to get the current value and previous value. We need to get it. Here this object we are containing previous value and current value we are having. These values we need to retrieve and we need to assign it to any other variable. So those time we need to utilize this for loop and we can iterate it. That ng changes of this value we need to pass it here. Value. Element implicit as any type expression of type string or can be indexed to simple change. Okay. We have provided here simple change one. Okay, simple changes. Okay. Yeah. So now one by one we will check it. So I will provide here log change what we are getting in the change. This is the normal object. See. We are getting one object. Inside that object, we are having one more nested object. See, simple input and other one. So when we are using a change in that particular changes of respective property name, when we are providing, see, we will get one simple object. We will get it. Here it is containing current value and previous value. Only one object you will get it. We are having a one object in the object format it is there, so we need to convert it to a string format like JSON dot stringify of. So directly we can utilize it. Change dot, see, current value, previous value. In the same way we can use previous value. Log of current value will provide see, current value is text, previous value empty we are having. See, we are getting a text. And here we can use one ng model and we can provide some set of value, we can provide it for input decorator one, so it will get executes. Means whenever the user is entering something, if you want to when we are providing some value to that particular input decorator, so it will be gets executing. See, we are having done. Use simple input I will provide. Now we will check this one. We are having a initially we are having one text. What we are having in the simple change object, text update. Now the previous value is text update, and now the current value is text updated. See? See, whenever we are typing anything here, okay, for each and every changes, on changes gets executes. See, this is the ng on changes hook. then on init gets executed. It will initialize the Angular application component. So we are using on init. See, on init, and then do check for change detection. It will get executed. So we need constructor ng on init, and sometimes we will use a ng on changes. Okay, so these ng after content initialization, content check, just for knowledge purpose, just remember these things. And then we will utilize a ng after view init. In the when I am explaining in the uh, view child and view children, okay, that time you will get to know that one, so how it will get executed. And then last one we required is ng on destroy life cycle. This one also in the next next class. So when I am discussing about any service unsubscribe, so those time you will get to know the ng on destroy. Okay, for now go through what are the different lifecycle hooks available in Angular. So all these are the different types of lifecycle hooks available. Remember all these things. And in the day-to-day life we are using constructor, sometimes ng on changes, ng on init. See, first constructor, ng on changes, ng on init, and then ng after view init, and ng on destroy. These four are very important, and we need to get the proper idea on these life cycle hooks, because in the day-to-day life we are using the same life cycle hooks. The remaining thing ng after view check, okay, it will get checked after view initialization is happened. It will check here these things also, content initialization and content checked also will get executed later. Okay, these are the life cycle hooks available. So I will provide you the examples. This is the simple changes one. Go through this one. This one also will provide. Yeah, these are the life cycle hooks concepts. And now next you will get to know in the next class. Okay, we are using constructor, how we are using the constructor, and ng on in it. In the next class itself you are going to get the idea of constructor and ng on in it. So in which time which one we are using. So in the next class I am going to explain on services. Please complete all the concepts whatever I have explained up to today. Please try to complete all the concepts before we are jumping into the services concept.
Okay.
See, from tomorrow onwards, all the concepts are little bit complicated one. You won't understand easily. So before that, please 2 to 3 times practice all these concepts. Okay, data binding, directives, what are the life cycle hooks we are having, how to pass the data from one component to the other component, input and output decorator, how we are using, ng style and ng class, how we can utilize it. Tomorrow I will create the service and local one db.json file I will create, and how we are communicating from client side to the server side. Tomorrow I'm going to explain, so that please complete all the concepts. Otherwise it will be problem for you. Okay guys, I will meet you in the next class tomorrow.
Okay, Anna.
Okay.